Hello, it's Reverend Tony here. It's great to be with you again for this week's collective worship assembly. I wonder if you like reading stories, or watching them, or listening to them. I do. I think stories are great, whether you watch them on television or in films, whether you listen to them on the radio, or whether you read them in books. Stories introduce us to a different world, a world often full of surprises, a world that helps us to see things with new eyes. The stories of Jesus in particular are especially good at doing that. They challenge us to think ourselves into a different place, to see things in a different perspective, to think more about ourselves, about other people around us, about our world, and also about God. In a moment I'm going to tell you one of Jesus' most famous and best loved stories. But before we do that, we'll have our opening responses. God is love, all the time. All the time, God is love. So get ready and enjoy this story that Jesus told about the kind stranger. And I'm reading this from the Lion Storyteller Bible. Jesus was teaching one day when a man in the crowd asked him a question. "Can you tell me, Jesus, what do I have to do to live forever?" Jesus smiled. "Love God," he said, "and love your neighbour as much as you love yourself." "But who is my neighbour?" asked the man, hoping to trick Jesus. "Is he just the person who lives next door?" "Let me tell you a story," Jesus said, "and I think you will understand. Once upon a time there was a man, a person just like us, who was travelling from Jerusalem to Jericho. Now, as you all know, that is a very dangerous road. It's twisty and it's steep, and there's no end of places for robbers and bandits and thieves to hide. Well, the robbers were waiting that day, and they grabbed the man and they beat him up. And they took his money and they left him to die. "Oh dear," sighed the crowd. They felt sorry for the man. Jesus went on with his story. In a little while, another man came along walking down that road, a priest on his way home from worshipping God in the temple. He saw the dying man. And what do you think he did? "He helped him," shouted someone in the crowd. "He saved him," shouted another. "No," said Jesus firmly, "he did not. He took one look at that poor man lying half dead and then crossed to the other side of the road and walked away." "Oh my," the crowd murmured. "Wait," Jesus continued. "Soon another man passed by. He served God at the temple too. So what do you think this man did when he saw the wounded traveller?" "He ran for help," shouted someone. "He raised the alarm," shouted another. "No," said Jesus again, "he did not. Just like the priest, he crossed to the other side of the road and left that poor man to die." "Oh no," the crowd sighed. "Don't worry," said Jesus, "for there was one more man who passed by that day, and he was a Samaritan." "A Samaritan?" shouted someone. "They're different from us." "We hate Samaritans," shouted another. "And they hate us," added a third. "So I've heard," nodded Jesus. But when this Samaritan saw the man, he did not walk away. No, he bandaged his wounds, he loaded him on his donkey, he took him to a nearby inn, and he paid for that man to stay there until he was well again. Jesus looked at the man who had asked him the question. "So tell me," he said, "which of these men was a neighbour to the man who had been robbed?" "The third one, the Samaritan," the man answered. "That's right," Jesus smiled, "because my neighbour is anyone who needs my help. Now you go and help your neighbour too." Isn't that a wonderful story? And isn't that a challenge for us at school, at home, wherever we are? When we can do help to someone, we should do it. Let's just think for a moment about what that might mean for you today or tomorrow or this week. Being ready to help someone in need. I'm going to say a prayer now, so put your hands in a safe place. God of love, we thank you for Jesus, who told stories to show us how to live and how to care for others, even those we don't like and those who seem very different from us. Help us always to be ready to help others. Help us to show love and care, especially to those who need it most. We ask this so that everyone may be able to live happily and safely in the wonderful world you have given us. Amen. And now we're going to have our song. When I needed a neighbour, were you there?
When I needed a neighbour, were you there? Were you there? When I needed a neighbour, were you there? And the creed and the colour and the name won't matter.
Well, I hope that's given you plenty to think about today. It is an old story, but it's one that's right up to date, challenging us as we think about ourselves, as we think about others, as we think about our world, and as we think about God. We'll finish with our closing responses. God is love, all the time. All the time, God is love. Now go and show that love to everyone you meet. Amen. Well, it's been great to be with you for our collective worship today, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. And there'll be another collective worship assembly next week. Until then, stay safe and God bless.